The following program, The Russ Belville Show, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate to the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate any illegal activity and encourage all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers on The Russ Belville Show are their own, and The Russ Belville Show cannot be held legally responsible for their validity or reliability. Viewer discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think that we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Yeah, I hear you had a question for me.
Now, here's your host, Radical Russ Belville.
Good day, tokers and tokeheads. Welcome. It is Thursday, February 21st, 2013, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. Welcome to the show. So glad you could join us today. We've got so much to bring you on today's show. I hope you can stay tuned for all of it. First of all, in our Cops Say Legalized Drugs segment, we're going to get to that at half past. We got Jamie Haas joining us. He's been on the show before. He's a former Immigrations and Customs Enforcement Border Patrol officer, so he's got a keen insight on the whole Mexican drug war problem. We'll talk to him about his recent appearances, speaking tours, and his insight on that Mexican drug war problem. Also on today's show, a very compelling interview that I filmed at the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup back in San Bernardino this weekend, and that was Jacob Jones. If you remember a story from the 90s about a veteran, a Vietnam vet with PTSD in Kentucky who had a shootout with cops. Well, not a shootout. He had a standoff with cops who then killed him. That's his son who we had the interview with. He tells us his very harrowing story and how he's transformed that into a life of activism. Also on today's show, more highlights from the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup in San Bernardino. We've got an interview with Ganja John. We got Coral Reefer coming up, as well as plenty of B-roll, some glass, all sorts of interesting things coming up in the Behind the Headlines segment. We've got our daily Toker Tunes for the day. It's Groovin' Thursday. My friends out at HDI Records sent me another track. This one features Left Field, and we will get to that at 20 after when we take our little herbal break. But before we get to all of that, we have got our 420 headline news, and we've got more legislators that are taking up the cause of marijuana legalization. We'll get to that. The U.S. Senate has dropped a hemp bill for the first time in the Senate's history. We've got a look at Washington State, where 3 different bills regarding medical, recreational, and hemp are all making progress. We've got West Virginia looking to add drug testing to get your driver's license, legalization bills in Maine and Maryland, a new poll out of Britain, and if we have time, an update from Honduras, and a controversial story about a possible killing done by the DEA. All of that and more coming up on today's Russ Belville Show. Thanks for joining us.
The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at RadicalRuss.com.
The High Times Cannabis Cup in Amsterdam is recognized as the world's premier marijuana competition. Over the years, thousands of judges have attended the Cannabis Cup, sampling the best indicas, best sativas, best hybrids, and the best hash on the planet. In the April 2013 issue of High Times, Read all about the sensational 25th Cannabis Cup that took place in November. Find out about the latest killer strains. Decide what to grow in your garden this year. Celebrate 25 years of the Cannabis Cup in this very special issue of High Times magazine. On sale now.
It's time for your 420 Radio News for Thursday, February 21st, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. U.S. Senate to consider hemp farming legislation for the first time. This from theweedblog.com. For the first time in modern history, members of the United States Senate have introduced legislation in Congress to allow for the commercial production of industrial hemp. Last week, Senators Mitch McConnell, Republican of Kentucky, Jeff Merkley, Democrat of Oregon, Rand Paul, Republican of Kentucky, and Ron Wyden, Democrat of Oregon, introduced Senate Bill 359 to amend the U.S. Controlled Substances Act to exclude industrial hemp from the definition of marijuana. The measure grants state legislatures the authority to license and regulate the commercial production of hemp as an industrial and agricultural commodity. State could legalize hemp along with pot from the spokesman.com. The Washington State House Government Accountability and Oversight Committee this morning approved HB 1888, a bill that would pave the way for farmers to grow industrial hemp in Washington. Legislators and a representative from the State Agriculture Department agreed there are some details that need to be worked out. With the passage last fall of Initiative 502, Washington is in the midst of setting up a system to legalize the production and sale of marijuana for recreational use. The State Liquor Control Board is working on regulations and licensing plans for growers, distributors, and retailers. But those rules won't cover the production of hemp and the manufacture of hemp products. Mark Struley of the State Agriculture Department said the agency is always excited about the possibility of a new crop. 9 other states have passed laws regarding hemp production, but none grows hemp yet as a crop. The federal government still bans the plant, so the state would want to make sure that having the Ag Department license hemp growers doesn't jeopardize federal funds, Struley said. Committee Chairman Christopher Hunt, Democrat of Enumclaw, said the overall bill was good, but suggested that the panel strike the opening section. It did and passed the bill on an 8-0 vote. Marijuana bills advance in Olympia from the Seattle Times. 2 marijuana bills are advancing in Olympia. A House committee Thursday okayed a measure that would let people quickly vacate misdemeanor marijuana convictions in Washington state. And a Senate committee advanced a measure providing arrest protection for patients under the state's medical marijuana law. Washington voters last fall approved Initiative 502, legalizing possession of up to an ounce of pot by adults over 21. The House bill is designed to clear the records of people convicted of minor pot-related crimes in the past, activity that's now legal under state law. The Senate bill is designed to make it clear that police should not arrest medical marijuana patients. West Virginia bill would require 3 drug tests for teenage drivers, from PittsburghCBSLocal.com. A bill proposed in the West Virginia House of Delegates would require 3 separate drug tests before teenagers could get a driver's license. It is the latest in a string of proposals to expand government-mandated drug testing in the state. The bill, introduced Tuesday, would require potential drivers to pass a drug test before they receive a learner's permit, an intermediate license, and a full license. Last April, Governor Earl Ray Tomblin signed an executive order mandating drug testing for anyone who participates in government-funded job training programs. Currently, there are proposed bills in the House that would require drug testing for individuals seeking welfare, expand drug testing for coal miners, and require healthcare providers to release the drug testing records of minors to their patients. My apologies, to their parents. News from Maine, marijuana bill details are announced from the Marijuana Policy Project. State Representative Diane Russell, Democrat of Portland, was joined by Representative Aaron Libby, Republican of Waterboro, at a press conference Thursday to unveil the details of her new bill that would make Maine the 3rd state in the nation to make marijuana legal for adults 21 and older and establish a system in which marijuana is regulated and taxed like alcohol. Also for Marijuana Policy Project, Delegate Kurt Anderson, Democrat of Baltimore City, introduced a bill today in the Maryland House of Delegates that would make marijuana legal for adults 21 and older and establish a system in which marijuana is regulated and taxed like alcohol. And finally, from SkyNews.com, half of Britons favor a drug review, and more than half of the public support legalizing the production and supply of cannabis or decriminalizing its possession, according to a survey ordered by the Transform Drug Policy Foundation. Some 67% of people in Britain support an in-depth review of policy options for controlling all drugs. And that's your 420 Radio News for today, Thursday, February 21st, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines and take a look at highlights from this last weekend's High Times Medical Cannabis Cup in San Bernardino, California. You're listening to 420radio.org. We'll be right back after this. The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney, Omar Figueroa." Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215. Or on the web at www.omarfigueroa.com.
I'm Sub Cool from Team Green Avenger. At TGAgenetics.com, we are working on the leading edge of medical strains. Our strains are rigorously tested for THC, CBD, THCV, and other critical cannabinoids. Know your grow. Check out our genetic diversity at TGAgenetics.com, the home of Jelly Bean, Jack the Ripper, Vortex, and other award-winning cannabis strains.
Welcome back, everybody. It's 12 past, about 13 past the hour. Time for us to go behind the headlines. And today I put together a little clip reel of some highlights from the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup 2013 in Los Angeles. Glendale. San Bernardino. And all sorts of fun here. We've got Ganja John will show up with Ganja Wife as well. Todd Armstrong and Brian Blank, comedian friends of ours, were also there in Los Angeles. That was a lot of fun. Our friend Coral Fish from her Stony Sunday show that's here on 420 Radio was there. Plus, we met some of our 420 Radio volunteers, including Mike Smolka, who did such a great job getting some video that will probably be on next week's show since he still has the recorder. Lots of glass, some pretty girls, and my first dab of the day. Here you go. Let's go back to Southern California and enjoy the fun at the Cup. Hi there, everybody. Radical Russ here at the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup, Los Angeles. Glendale. San Bernardino. Welcome to the show. We're here at the entrance. This is basically everybody checking in, security making sure they get their wristbands on, everybody getting their bags checked, and so on. As you enter here at the National Orange Center, you start in this non-profit area, which, as you can see, is much less populated. We will soon make our way to the medicating area, and you will see far more people. Sorry about the lack of live streaming. Had some technical issues with the computer, just would not stream the way we wanted it to. We're going to have to upgrade. Thanks to your support, we'll be able to get some more of this equipment that we're going to need. Until next time. All right, and here we are in the 420 radio booth with our volunteer, Mike. VIP member. Hi, Mike. How you doing?
How's it going?
Is this your first cup?
It's my first cup, yeah.
Oh, good. I hope you're having fun.
Oh, great time.
Thanks for holding down the fort while you're on your video, man. Appreciate it. And our other volunteers. Hello.
How are you? Hi, Russ.
Doing good.
We hope more this year.
Yeah, we hope so.
I will.
will. Give it the booth. Come on in, man. Let's get a shot. Ganja John, this is Greg. He's a longtime fan. Greg, how are you doing, man? Hi, nice to meet you. And Odd Tarmstrong. That's your new name, Odd Tarmstrong. It'll work. You're all in shadow, so don't worry. You're all anonymous. It's like one of those TV news things where. Yeah.
Audio pickups on top?
That's stereo, very nice. Because I'm unable to stream live from here, unfortunately. So we're stuck.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a mental picture. That's what it is. Like, yay! I'm gonna stand here for like 10 minutes.
We having fun?
Like, take it. Take it. Yay!
Smile, you're on candid camera.
Motherfucking YouTube. Here we go.
$90.
There's some fucking.
All right, you want to give the sales pitch?
Go ahead and open it.
Tell us all about the pound name.
All right.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'll tell you all about this.
Tell us all about it.
This is the best vaporizer for waxes and concentrates on the market right now. It's discreet yet sexy. It comes in 9 different beautiful colors. Look at that, 60s blue. Have you seen blue like that since you've seen a Thunderbird?
I was gonna say that's a 60s Thunderbird right there.
You got the pink for the ladies. You got the purple for the guys and the ladies. You know what I mean? I personally like the black. Very simple to use. You simply load up the wax in the cartridge, close it, inhale. Look at that, blowing clouds, baby.
Fantastic. It's this lady. It's coral fish. Okay, you gotta explain something. Come over here. Oh, the tattoos. Very nice. You showed me yours. I'll show you mine. All right.
I don't know about this. Oh, let's do it. Yeah. Oh, we got the new tattoo, right? Yeah. I like it. Do we match? Green is sexy.
Yeah, time off. Great hemp. So come into the shade. You have to answer a question for our listeners. They want to know, is it coral reefer or is it coral fish?
It's both.
It's both?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really easy. My name's Coral, so I just have to change the screen name based on what's available. It's so easy. Yeah, either or, whatever you like.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so who are we representing?
Epic, right here.
Okay.
That's it.
Very nice. I got mine.
Red face is there.
Almost.
Is it Sylvie?
Yeah, that's one shit. Easy. This makes the shot so much better. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, we're here with.
Hi, it's the Summer Rain with 420 Nurses. Kush Connection.
Kush Connection.
With the Master Yoda Lemon Butter.
Master Yoda. Lemon butter. All right, let's give it a shot. So here we are. Perfect. Thank you. Have a good day.
like deja vu all over again.
Wow.
I don't know how that happened, but hey.
It's because you were reliving those great moments there at the Cannabis Cup.
I know, it was so much fun. Hey, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we have got some Groovin' Thursday music for you. Left field, some new hip-hop music for you. Good stuff. Stick around.
That funny reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Big Daddy thinks.
Funky roller ring.
Oh yeah, this is Big Daddy, and I'll be your freakazoid every Thursday night, right here at the Funky Roller Ring.
Funky Roller Ring.
11 Eastern, 8 Pacific, only on RadicalRuss.com.
I'm John Bon Jovi, and I've been given a script to talk to you about drugs, rock and roll, having fun, a good time, and all that good stuff. Well, I'll tell you what, drugs is not a part of my everyday routine. It's not everyday fun. It's not good for you. All right, so listen, think twice before you do drugs, because there ain't no winners out there doing it.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Groovin' Thursday, featuring rap, hip-hop, soul, and funk music. You can get downloads and more information about all our Daily Toker Tunes by visiting music.radicalruss.com. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tunes.
All right, everybody, 23 minutes after, and for today's Groovin' Thursday, another submission from our friends at HDI Records. Off of Left Field Volume 2, the Left Field crew is in, and the song is called The World Is Mine. I believe there's a couple of features on this. Make sure if I got the featuring information. Maybe it's here in the track info. Yes, featuring Fox and Zilla will be on this track. And it reminds me that we are still looking for both a Tuesday and a Thursday music editor. So if you know anything about electronic dance music and would like to help us collect and promote the songs for the Electric Tuesdays, we'd love to hear from you. Or for this day, the Groovin' Thursdays, if you're into hip-hop, rap, R&B, soul, funk, and can come up with a song a week, we'd like to have you as our music editor. So just visit 420radio.org, go to our contact form, and you can get directly in touch with us. And you can volunteer your skills to help promote the message of 420 Radio and bring out some new music, some new marijuana-themed music to the people. All right, let's get to the tunes. This is Left Field with The World Is Mine.
Here we are. Rain is gone. From the boulevard. Rain is gone. The rain is gone. Rain is gone. From the boulevard. Rain is gone. I'm on that mission. Persistent visions got me missing the mic. It's like we married, but somehow I needed distance. But I made the illest comeback. Come hard, every track, dumb hard. Notice that I only kill shit, I don't know no slack. So no holding back. I make my presence known. Standing cocky, don't condone no ignorance up on my throne. So catch me zoning off a loud pack. Getting high, working hard, grinding while y'all lounge back. You knee deep in this shit, I'm so profound that when the verse and beats collide, the verse and beats precise and you fire inside. Guess I found that, and I don't need no handouts. The world is mine, I snatch back. The realest with me, print my city on my snapback. Backtrack, hell nah, I'm about to stash that. Kush up in the Dutch and never pass that. I've reached the highest abilities, you could never pass that. I'm the future setting fire to the past. This world is mine. The world is ours. From the block of boulevard. Rain is gone.
Truly some of my dopest shit ever. Coming off the head, fuck you niggas, where my money, realest shit ever said. Carolina, Niggas ain't out here scared, get your noodle pan fried if you talking about some bread. It was 2011, told mama I had bad news. A nigga trying to get it, probably not up in this classroom. These motherfuckers gotta pay like it's past due. I draw on niggas and I ain't talking about no tattoos. All a nigga ever do is chase this dough. Guess that's why niggas hate me for. Ho, sit down, Maceo. Wish nigga would try to play me slow. Top spot when I drop, I'm getting it. Making niggas hang it up, certificate spitting the illest. Spitting on lyrics. I ain't the best, are you fucking illiterate? They say I ain't kill this shit. I say you ain't feel this shit. What I don't understand is why they settle for the fake when they know that the real exists. I guess I think too much. But girl tell me they don't drink too much. All my P's and Q's trying to flip a few P's. Ain't a nigga that can't get touched. In Greenville where the nigga toe still in a trip like they your angel dust. Nigga letting off so many shots if you trying to live, you best to duck. I got a priceless flow, see ups and downs like prices go. It's no way you niggas even might be close, better check yourself like Nike. Hold me falling is unlikely, bo. I've been through what I'm speaking. Niggas stall out, I go all out so I can ball out like I'm streaking. Here we are. World is ours. Something like the flame of God. Rain is gone. For money and fame, my mind is only on one track, and you can find me on that train dressed down all black. Fucking up your city, kinda change how a dog rap. Coming with the gritty, slinging pain like it's all crack. Niggas on their head for that bread. Tonight I'm going against the grain like a slot machine. I'm collecting change of chin. Oh please don't forget them diamond rings. Please remember I don't give a damn if I have to bang. Attack you in your brain, it just change lanes. Keep moving forward toward bigger things, man. Laps around your city for that yellow light change. I'm on strong, on rolling, bout to bust a right. On fame, like your game, incite you to exciting things. Catch you off your game and bring you back to where you might have came. Trifling man I am, though I'm loyal to the ones that hate. When the hard times came and only way out was the bane. My mission isn't lonely, homie, shit the same aim. $300,000 car, $1 million change. $1 billion capital, helicopters and planes. And I'll continue pulling up until I breathe life into these dreams.
Hi, this is Dan Michaels. If you're looking for professional voice talent for your commercial or podcast, I'm your man. Visit danmichaelsaudio.com for more information.
Georgia. Hi, this is Willie Nelson. Alcohol prohibition didn't work in the 1920s, and marijuana prohibition isn't working today. It's time we stopped arresting responsible marijuana smokers. It's the fair thing to do.
For more information, contact NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Call toll-free 888-67-NORML or visit their website at norml.org.
One of the most disturbing elements of the Prohibition War is how it's made police the enemy of otherwise law-abiding cannabis consumers. Fortunately, one group of police officers knows the futility of prohibition and reaches out to educate the community and current law enforcement. Today, the Russ Belville Show visits with another speaker from Law Enforcement Against Prohibition with one clear message. Cops say legalize drugs.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Just about half past the hour, and joining us today by telephone from Greenville, South Carolina, is Jamie Haas. He's a former special agent with Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, better known as ICE or the Border Patrol. He's been a guest on the show in the past, and we've always appreciated having him on the show and his expertise in the areas of the border and the drug war in Mexico and all that was going on then. He's now a very accomplished LEAP speaker, been on our show a couple of times. Welcome back, Jamie.
Hey, Russ, thanks for having me on the show. I haven't talked to you in a little bit.
I know, and since I spoke to you last, I was thinking, I wonder, as far as what's changed worldwide, and we've got a new president in Mexico, and I've been reading, some of the interviews with him and some of his rhetoric, and I don't know if this really sounds good for Mexico's drug war policy. Have you been following the new changes in Mexico, and what do you think?
Yeah, I sure have. Enrique Pena Nieto. Sorry, my Spanish pronunciation isn't very good, but he comes from the old PRI party, which is a little more, always been tied a little bit to corruption a little bit more than the conservative Calderon administration. So, he says he's not going to deal directly with the drug cartels. He's going to try to go, root out corruption more. But, I just, another face, same old drug war. I don't see it changing until these laws change.
Yeah, and the PRI, for folks that aren't, up on Mexican political history, was pretty much an institutional, single-party rule for like 70-odd years, wasn't it? Until just recently.
Correct, yeah, until 2000, I believe, when Vicente Fox came in.
Right.
But, yeah, they ruled for about 70 years. Basically, the outgoing president would pretty much appoint, his predecessor, and, it was a very corrupt system of government. So it seems we're back to that now.
Okay, so the drug war continues apace in Mexico. The body count continues to go up. Have there been any major developments on the cartel side, as far as any cartels that have been merging or changing or growing? What can you tell us on that side?
That's interesting that you bring that out, because there's so many splinter groups now, and it's kind of gotten to the point where it's almost East Coast, West Coast. You have the Sinaloa cartel on the West Coast, headed by Joaquin Guzman, and then you have Los Zetas who are on the East Coast, the Gulf of Mexico. Their number one guy now is Miguel Trevino Morales. When I worked in Laredo, he was the main capo drug lord across the river in Nuevo Laredo, and his predecessor was gunned down by the Marines in November. And then he is his acronym. He goes by Z40, but he's the leader now. But anyways, a lot of splintering. You can't. It's so hard to keep up with that country and all these little factions that are dividing off constantly.
And you mentioned, same old drug war. It's not going to change until these laws change. And that brings me to some of the talking points that I'm hearing from what I call the kinder, gentler drug warriors out there, people like Kevin Sabet and Patrick Kennedy, who talk of rehab and trying to get mental health treatment to people. And to me, it just ignores the elephant in the room, which is, there will still be a market in marijuana. And when we look at during the Prop 19 campaign in 2010, the Rand Corporation surveyed and said California legalization would really only cost the cartels about 2% of their business. But they said nationwide, if there was nationwide legalization, it might be 15 to 26% of their business.
That study irked me so much, Russ, because that's flat out. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually printed this. I'm going to see you, of course, in Atlanta next month during the Southern Cannabis Reform Conference. But 2009, and I want to address this there, but 2009 is a year I was on the border. Let me just go through some quick stats with you.
Okay.
Customs and Border Protection, that's the main agency on the border that seizes incoming narcotics and outgoing cash and things. So when CBP, for example, seizes marijuana or whatever, it from then either gets sent to ICE or the DEA for investigation. So this is all of narcotics that CBP seized in 2009. It was 2,000 pounds of heroin, 6,000 pounds of meth, 136,000 pounds of cocaine, and 4.3 million pounds of marijuana. That is, it is the majority of the cartel's income, and they built all these other structures to traffic these other drugs through their marijuana trafficking network. If we can take that out of the equation, it would cripple them. So yeah, that study really irked me quite a bit.
And one of the points that I always try to make it is, I don't care if it's 0.2%, 2%, 20%. I don't care what the percent is. Why are we giving them any marijuana business?
Exactly.
But one of the talking points they're coming back with now, Jamie, is they're saying, the cartels will never go away. They'll just turn to kidnapping and meth and coke, as if you could invent a bunch of people that want meth when they already got marijuana.
Exactly. And I run into that same obstacle, doing speeches for LEAP in South Carolina here, and they always say that. But if the demand's not there, it's not there. And another big thing in Mexico, the biggest part of this problem is corruption. And the corruption from the marijuana revenues is the most. So you take that out, you won't have police officers, military, you name it, allowing human trafficking and killing and stuff like that. They won't buy into it. The public won't buy into it. But they will kind of overlook, marijuana trafficking. So that corruption from those dollars alone is, the root of the problem. And we need to take it away, and we can, again, cripple them with, their other activities.
Let's look at now in the United States. We've got 2 states that are currently hammering out the regulations for recreational marijuana, not just use, but production, sales, and so on. There's the working groups in Colorado, working groups going on in Washington State. And one of the things they are addressing is how are they going to deal with the possible migration of weed from a legal state, from Colorado to Wyoming. And they're proposing all sorts of things like, tracking this and limiting amounts of sales to out-of-state people. What's your take on this? And do you have any suggestions, if any?
I don't. I read yesterday the thing, I think it was on Huffington or whatever, the tourism thing, and trying to, like you said, limit the amount you can buy if you're a non-state resident. Excuse me. I don't know. I see a lot of people flocking to the state, possibly trying to move jobs there, but you can't restrict this type of substances, so people are going to try to profit from them, and the fearmongers are, of course, going to jump on this, but, we could have Coloradans, Washingtonians, using FedEx, things like that, et cetera, to profit from this. So I think it's just going to be a trickle effect to other states just recognizing the good that's going to come from these policies and, hoping, they'll get on board and follow what those states have done.
Another story, I'm so glad I've got you. We got Jamie Haas here as a former special agent with Immigrations and Custom Enforcement and speaker for LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. Check them out at leap.cc. Another story that I'd read, and perhaps it was also on Huffington Post, was about the increased security going on our border, not with Mexico, but with Canada. Do you have any insight on that for us?
I don't. I know that there's always been more of a threat, a terrorism angle coming from Canada. So it might have to do with that. I know British Columbia in that area is a high traffic area when it comes to marijuana, but I haven't heard anything about beefed up security on the northern border lately. But I'm sure you know what you're talking about, my man. So.
Well, yeah, it's something I'd profiled in High Times magazine once was these increased extra constitutional powers that Border Patrol has in the border zone, which is 100 miles away. Outlining the United States, 100 miles in from that. There's all sorts. Tell our listeners a little bit about that.
That's interesting, actually. It's called the extended border. Border search is they have. Basically, when you're crossing the border, you have no rights to anything. We can go in your computer. Government can search you because you're crossing that nexus to another country. So anyways, that extended border is kind of interesting because you look at the bus that Willie Nelson, when he was on the border, Snoop Dogg, they all got hit on these extended border checkpoints by the Border Patrol. So, we don't need probable cause for canine search or things like that. They can just, search pretty much your property, anything on you. So I would tell people to be very wary in places, be very careful in places like Texas and things like that, because these borders get moved frequently by the Border Patrol. And again, they're not on the border. They're up to 50 and 100 miles inland.
Yeah, according to the ACLU, 9 out of 10 of the largest metropolitan areas in the United States are covered by this area. The only one of the top 10 that's not in there is Dallas-Fort Worth, interestingly enough. And also, it's like something like 2/3 of the United States population lives within this area. So it's pretty amazing the powers that Border Patrol has in the name of these checkpoints that are not only permanent checkpoints, but also what they call the very Orwellian name, a temporary permanent checkpoint.
Yeah, the government names are a trip.
Now,
I think it's not just the Border Patrol, Customs and Border Protection, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. This Homeland Security Department was formed in 2003, and it's a mess because you have inspectors in one agency, criminal investigators, special agents in another. They basically have all the same authority, and they should have been merged into one agency, in my opinion. But it gets confusing for people to understand what agencies you're talking about. But anyways, I think we need that search authority because there's obviously a threat, people trying to get in this country, but we just need to get narcotics off the table, specifically marijuana, and give people their fundamental rights back.
Interesting thing with respect to those searches and kind of talking a little bit about what we would hope Border Patrol is taking care of, and that is, protecting us from terrorist threats. I remember seeing a graphic one time on the number of Patriot Act uses for drugs versus terrorism versus immigration, and of course it was many, 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 many more for drugs than it was for terrorism. Given that we have limited resources at the border, do you think this extra focus on marijuana and drugs is a security risk from a terrorism standpoint?
I sure do. I think it's totally related to national security. The stats I just told you, 4.3 million seized. I mean, think of all the time wasted, doing that. I started my career in Charleston at a seaport, and I worked there for about 6 years. And in 6 years, I saw the amount of drugs that I saw in Laredo in probably 1 week. So you imagine how more secure some of these seaports are compared to that land border. It's 2,000 miles long. And, we're wasting our government, local government, federal government, state government resources on marijuana. It's so frustrating.
It's got to be frustrating, especially, I know you're in South Carolina, they're in Greenville and speaking around there. When you're doing your speeches, do you find people in your southern audiences are starting to come around?
I do, actually. I'm actually been very happy. I get a few, maybe, I don't know, less than 10% that don't agree with me. My main thing is just finding that they don't speak out about it. They don't feel that they have a stake in it. But, the last one I gave, I had a Southern Baptist minister. I mean, he was just quoting right back with me, going back to Al Capone, Chicago Prohibition. Just, he kind of took over the audience, and he was, a well-respected member, Anderson, South Carolina. Another recent one, a gentleman was about 50. His father was very ill, on, of course, the painkillers, the Lortabs, very addicted to those, and he wished, that his father could use medical cannabis. But, a lot of people like that, they won't do it, and they won't break the law, so they're waiting for the law to change.
Yeah. Well, we know we will get these laws changed, and it's going to happen state by state. I encourage everyone to get involved and support organizations like LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, one of the most unimpeachable voices we have out there in the activism community. Jamie, that's about all the time we got for today's interview. I want to thank you for calling in today on Cops Say Legalize Drugs. And if people want to get in touch with you, do you have a website or Facebook?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. You can just look up my name, or you can contact me through the LEAP site, copssaylegalizemarijuana.com or leap.cc, and, all LEAP speakers have a profile there. So thanks for having me on, Russ, and I'll see you next month.
Back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Hey, wait, hold up right there. Hey, that shit look like the car in our eyes. You got weed? That one hits hard right there. Yeah, I told you. That ain't no joke. Got another one rolled up like that? Now see, if we did this shit in the East Coast, we'd go to jail. It's love, that West Coast love, y'all. This ain't like rock with me for one song. I guarantee you will know it. It's a good song. It's a good time. Show them how we do one time. You don't need a mic. Just rock with me. Come on, Ray. Yeah. Let's go, Jerry. Play that shit. What we fucking with? Smoking with Red, man. This is shit. Yes, sir. Put your mother say, I wanna get fucked up. This is
That's Redman and the Game at the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup 2013 in San Bernardino, California. My first shot getting a look at this, I was dealing with technical issues Saturday night, so people told me later on in the concert they were body surfing across the crowd. I spoke with Ganja John, and Todd Armstrong said the show was just off the hook. So I'm hoping they've got another video of this where they've got a little better audio coverage. We'll see if we can get that for you. We'll be in touch with the guys at High Times. Check them out at hightimes.com. High Times presents.
You want answers? I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
You know, I get a lot of chances to interview people all around the country and at all different areas of the cannabis community, businessmen and politicians and activists and so forth. The interviews that always stand out the most to me are the victims of the drug war, the people who are, directly impacted by our federal government's ban on cannabis. People like Brave Michaela, little girl just trying to fight through chemotherapy, has to jump through all sorts of hoops and deal with all sorts of scrutiny just because of the use of a simple plant. People like Eddie Lepp or people like Mark Emery and so forth, these people that are growing the marijuana or providing the seeds for people, these are the real stories of the cannabis community that I'm very proud to bring to everyone here on 420radio.org. At the High Times Cannabis Cup, I got a chance at the very end of the day to speak to this next gentleman. His name's Jacob Jones, and what he's doing currently is he's running something called the Cannabus, and it's a big school bus. It's been painted green with slogans for, marijuana legalization. And he goes from event to event, place to place, promoting the legalization of marijuana and telling his story and trying to take the tragedy of his life and turn that into a positive, into something that can help other people maybe not have to go through what he had to go through as a young man. And I was just compelled to speak to him. I spoke to him earlier on Saturday and said, I hope that you get a chance to come by and we get a chance to sit down. And it was toward the end of Sunday, toward the end of the entire event, when he finally came by and we got a chance to speak. So he sat down along with his mother, who was sitting off camera, off of camera right, so you won't actually see her, but she's there listening to the story. There was a little bit of a crowd gathered to listen. We also had amplification at the booth, so people standing around the booth could hear the story. And again, it's remarkable to me that someone could go through something like what Jacob went through and be able to come through it with a positive outlook after a lot of work and make something out of it. Here's the interview.
The cannabis community includes a diverse set of activists and nonprofits working to end the prohibition of marijuana. We take the time to hear the stories of reform on the Russ Belville Show's Cannabis Community Chat.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Radical Russ here with 420 Radio. We got a special guest joining us here, and you're welcome to identify yourself any way you like. Welcome to the show. Could you introduce yourself?
Thank you. Yes, my name's Jacob Jones. I guess I'm a co-founder of CannaSense and the Cannabus, and I'm a valedictorian from Oaksterdam University.
Excellent. So the Cannabus, let's start with that one.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
We picked up the Cannabus in North Carolina in October, and we toured 15 states before bringing it to Arizona.
Yeah?
Yeah. Then for the Emerald Cup, we took the Cannabus up to Northern California, to Humboldt County, where we kind of got some resentment there, but that's another story.
Now, the Cannabus is just a bus with...
Oh, yeah, it's an 88-year school bus, and it's been decked out for marijuana legalization.
Okay.
Yes.
So you travel from event to event, kind of rally people?
Yes, we let local cannabis organizations from state to state just use the bus for a day and just help with their efforts.
All right. And what was the other group you're with?
Oh, CannaSense.
That's right, CannaSense.
Yes. It's a foundation me and my cousin started. We're both drug war victims. My father was murdered in front of me 20 years ago in Kentucky for growing 25 plants, and
this is a case I believe that we've covered before on our show, where it was a kind of a raid upon his property, and he just stood his ground and said, no. Can you explain a little?
No, that's exactly right. That Sunday morning in 1993, helicopters came to our property, and they demanded my father cut down his medical crop, and he refused. He said, "I'm over my dead body," and then that started a peaceful 8-hour standoff in their mind. Yeah.
I think I saw this on the news in the 90s when, coming up. And you were what age?
I was 4 years old.
4 years old. And so as a 4-year-old, you're old enough to know something really bad's happening, obviously.
Well, in the beginning, I actually didn't really comprehend what was going on. My strongest memory of that day is actually when I did realize that law enforcement was there to cause harm to my family.
Yeah.
To where at that point, there was like 30 law enforcement present outside of our property, and I ran inside our trailer, and like there were multiple helicopters flying above us at this point too, and I ran inside our trailer to like my toy box, grabbed a little toy sword, ran back outside and just wove it through our chain link gate. And in my mind, again, 4 years old, I thought that just saved the day. In my mind, that gave me peace of mind.
Yeah.
And moments later, they asked my father to approach them for the first time in 8 hours, and he did so armed. He armed himself. He was a Vietnam veteran, and he approached the chain link fence, and they asked him to put his hands in the air, and he did with the weapon. And he continued to walk toward them, where they asked him to disarm himself, and then again he refused for his property and his rights. And he was just approaching them for negotiation, and moments later, they concussion grenade, and they chose to fire military-grade weapons toward me, my mother, and my father. And
I think a remarkable part of this is how you are focused and calm and have directed what I would think would be an unquenchable rage about this, but you seem to have focused it in a very positive way.
Well, that's taken 19 years.
Yeah, I'll bet. It takes a while.
Yeah. Now my cousin kidnapped me and took me to Amsterdam 2 years ago to where...
Did you not want to go?
Oh, no, I did, but I was used to Kentucky law to where, they can just shuffle killing my dad and just calling that justice in front of me. And, I mean, that's still yet those officers involved think that was just. And the community neglected us, and that was...
I mean, in a situation like this, when we see these things go down, they get investigated by the police, and they always say, no, they were following procedure, everything was just by the book, and the next thing you know, these guys that were the officers become the sergeants, become the lieutenants, become the captains. Are they still officers in that Kentucky area?
Oh, yes, they are. They still hold power,
Wow.
and they still believe it was just.
Now, are you still living in Kentucky, or are you here on the West Coast now?
Actually, I'm just living on the Cannabis now. We're starting a 48-state tour, and I'll be living on the Cannabis. I did get reaccepted into the University of Kentucky as a community and leadership development major, and
that seems appropriate.
Oh yeah, so I'll be going back as a full-time cannabis activist to my college. So.
One of the things that I think our opponents don't understand is the harder they push us, the harder they squash it, the stronger we grow.
Exactly.
And it's through stories like yours where you take an unimaginable thing for a 4-year-old to have to go through, and through I'm sure years and years of working through that, develop it into a positive and develop it into an activist who will not be stopped. Now, I can sense it in you that this is your life's goal now, and you won't stop with this.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so, folks, again, let's give, if you got websites or emails, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they do it?
Oh, yeah, so Cannasense, CANNASENSE.org, and cannabus.us. That's our new website. That's
.us, yeah, Cannabus, CANNABUS.
Yes.
.us. Okay, check those out. Help out as much as you can, because these are the true stories that motivate all of us in this movement. And I meet so many people that are activists, and I find that activists come from 3 different camps. One is they got, pardon my language, fucked by the man. Number 2, they got ill. They needed it medically.
And then there's a small group that are just ideologically, this is wrong and it shouldn't be happening. It's obvious to see why the first two groups get involved. What would you say to convince some of those people who've never been busted, they're not sick, they're here at the Cannabis Cup, and they're like, well, gee, I got my rec, I'm almost legal, why should I fight for legalization? Tell them why.
That's an interesting question.
I'm known for that.
Let's see. I mean, the obvious thing at first, without my story, would just be the wasted resources that we do and just the morality of it and just the fact that it was made illegal to begin with and that was wrong. Just the whole, not conspiracy, but just the truth behind it, that they just didn't like hemp. And, I would just start with that and then say, still yet, prohibition is everywhere. Every 42 seconds we have an arrest, and stories like mine still are not over. In Michigan, in 2011, a little boy had to watch his father die, 3-year-old boy, because law enforcement said he smelled marijuana on the premises. And
just the smell?
Yes, just the smell, and then he got Child Protective Services involved. And the father, of course, resented, and that caused his death as well.
It's senseless. This is why we're here. This is why we're fighting for legalization, because as long as marijuana is illegal, it's contraband. As long as it's contraband, it's excuse for the cops to mess with you, to find some other reason to arrest you. So we've got to make it legal. Decrim's not enough. Medical's not enough. We got to go all the way with this. So what's next? Where do you head next as far as the cannabis goes?
Okay, as far as the cannabis will be getting a makeover in the upcoming months. The name will be changed to Green Bus Tour for Cannabis Freedom. And,
okay.
Yes, and we will be starting off in Denver in April the 20th and be making our way.
I'll be there.
Yeah, so will we.
Right on.
Then we will be making our way down through Texas and Oklahoma, supporting their state's efforts. They both have state bills. And then we'll be making our way over to Georgia for the May 4th Great Atlantic Smokeout, I believe.
Oh, yeah. That's, I'm really glad that we've got more people fighting in the South. For legalization, because everybody thinks that it can't happen there, but I know a lot of Southerners who are ready for it to happen. I think what the South suffers from more is just we can't talk about it. That's all.
Exactly, yeah.
Is that what you found?
Oh, yeah, man, I'm from Kentucky, and that's, after coming back from Oaksterdam, I really helped inspire them to get active again, and of course, a lot of people still are hush-hush about it.
Yeah.
But, they do risk a lot. In Indiana, just people get fired just for their Facebook involvement.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's
sad. Well, I want to end this on a positive note, so here it is. Happy 420, everybody! Yeah. It's 420 in Los Angeles, California. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
We appreciate your story, and we will have a clip of this available for you. I'll get you my card and everything, all right? Thanks so much. Celebrate 420, everybody.
Have you ever met that funny reefer man?
That was our interview with Jacob Jones at the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup. Again, what a compelling story. And it's something, if you're a new cannabis activist and you need inspiration, I don't know what could be more inspiring than knowing that you're fighting for people to not have to go through that. For kids to not have, they say, what about the children? That's what you say back to them. Yeah, what about the children? What about the children? Hey, that's all the time we've got for Hour 1. Thanks for joining us here. Stay tuned for Hour 2, Toker Talk Radio. We got more videos, more stuff from the Cannabis Cup. All sorts of fun coming up. And your calls at 971-533-7111. Visit us at 420radio.org. You can also follow me on Twitter, Radical Russ. RB Show 420 for the show Twitter feed. And 420radio.org for the network radio Twitter feed. So many feeds. So little time. That's it for Brian Red. I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
Take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it.